Mike Tindall's brutal put-down of Prince Harry reveals what the younger royals, especially Zara, Princess Anne's daughter, really think about the Sussexes. Now, Mike's a great guy. I really, really like him. Huge amount of fun and used to be genuinely close to Prince Harry, just like Peter Phillips, who hasn't invited either Harry or Meghan to his wedding, used to be. But what's very rare is for a member of the royal family to speak out about these strained relations. But that's just what Mike Tindall has done at a literary festival where he has revealed, I knew Prince Harry when he was fun. Honestly, this is such great stuff. Let me take you through it. Mike Tindall has joked that he remembers Prince Harry when he was fun around 15 years ago. The ex-England rugby star who is married to the Duke of Sussex's cousin, Sarah Phillips, cracked the joke. It's not a joke. By the way, Mike's deadly serious about this, trust me, at Harry's expense at the Hay Festival. Although he did not go into details, Mr. Tindall hinted that Harry may have made a spectacle of himself when Mike married Zara in 2011, 5 years before he met and fell in love with Meghan Markle. During a lively appearance at the Book and Arts Festival, Mike also cracked a joke about Andrew Mountbatten Windsor in his bedroom at Buckingham Palace. We'll get to that in a moment. But first, he poked fun at Prince Harry as he discussed marrying Zara, hinting at hijinks at the evening celebration held at the Palace of Holyrood House. Speaking with James Haskell and Alex Payne, his co-hosts on The Good, the Bad and the Rugby podcast. Remember, that's the podcast that Catherine and William and Anne all appeared on. He admitted he was shocked that fellow England rugby player Haskell had not disgraced himself during the wedding breakfast and reception. A lot of other people managed that way better than you. Like Harry when he was fun, Tindall joked. And Brittany, editor of the Royal News Network, with me now. Brittany, honestly, this was such a great moment. And of course you can say he was joking. But I have reported for some time, Brittany, that there are very real tensions between Mike and Zara Tindall, Peter Phillips and Harry and Meghan. They have absolutely sided with Prince William and Catherine. They are absolutely horrified about Prince Harry's behaviour. And I think what this comment really shows, Brittany, is they believe he's changed. And they do blame a certain woman for changing him. Not that they're giving Harry any free ride here, but they do link that change to him ending up with Meghan.
Well, I mean, Dan, it's impossible to ignore how Harry has changed since meeting Meghan Markle and marrying her. And it's been a change for the worse for, I think, everyone. And I think everybody can agree, Harry is a lot less fun than he used to be. And I think the royal family knows that better than anyone. Harry used to be kind of the jovial, the fun royal, these sorts of things. And now he's just really the obnoxious one that nobody wants to talk to or about. And I can completely understand where Mike is coming from here, and that Harry used to be the one who they could rely on in some ways to kind of have a roughhouse laugh. Like there's those famous pictures of Mike and Harry roughhousing during like around a polo match or something to that effect. But when you're looking at, especially when it comes to, I think, the relationship between Harry and the Peter side of the family, so that's Peter Phillips and Zara. I think both of them definitely very much are Team William. They're a little bit closer to William's age, not too much of a difference, but I think they definitely know where they want to be in terms of aligning, and they want to align with the future of the crown. Not just that, but Catherine and William, who have been through so much. I mean, Mike has basically become an uncle to the Waleses kids now at this point, because William and Catherine can't rely on Harry. And so I think Peter has definitely very much come into the family and filled that family role. And I think he has now become the fun one.
Yeah, because he's always been fun, hasn't he? And this is one of the critical things, Brittany. When I speak to people who used to be so close to Prince Harry, they are so utterly scathing about the way that he has changed.
Yes, because you can completely see it. Harry has gone from a guy, let's say, who I do think had a bit of a chip on his shoulder, being the spare and these sorts of things. But it has been kind of metastasized into this very much this bitter, angry, vengeful man who just resents everything about his family, yet at the same time is so desperate to have the approval of his family in his actions, and is constantly kind of utilizing his mother who is deceased, his grandmother who is deceased, in order to sort of progress his narrative, and it's not gone particularly well. And he is trying so hard in a way to sort of recapture the magic, but the reality is he gave up so much of the magic when he married Meghan Markle, and you could say his true colors started to show. And I think she has sort of inflamed this aggravation in him to such an extent that it's impossible to ignore. Everybody can see it, and he does himself zero favors with that whatsoever.
A royal insider, a brutally honest remark, and a growing sense that patience within the royal family may finally be running out. Because according to fresh reports and royal commentary, Mike Tindall has become the latest figure linked to criticism surrounding Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. And if the reports are accurate, the message could not be clearer. Things are no longer the way they used to be. For years, Prince Harry was considered one of the monarchy's most popular figures. Known for his humor, his military service, and his ability to connect with ordinary people. Many viewed him as the royal family's most relatable member. But following his marriage to Meghan Markle and the couple's departure from royal duties, everything changed. The interviews, the documentaries, the public accusations, the family tensions. Each new chapter seemed to widen the gap between Harry and the institution he once represented. Now attention has turned toward Mike Tindall, the husband of Zara Tindall and one of the most respected figures within the extended royal circle. Unlike senior royals, Mike has often been viewed as refreshingly direct, comfortable speaking openly, comfortable joking publicly, and generally seen as someone who says what many others choose not to. Which is exactly why recent commentary linked to him has attracted so much attention. Because when someone known for being candid appears critical, people listen.
Yeah, and what Mike proves, Brittany, is that you can talk about the royal family. You can have fun. There doesn't have to be a cone of silence. You've just got to do it in an appropriate way. And he did in this event move on to the former Duke of York, Andrew Mountbatten. It's a quite awkward timing, Brittany, given the new information on the police probe that came just as this was being reported. Having apparently told Haskell and Payne backstage that he would avoid the subject. Mike, this is why I love him. He can't help himself. He can't help himself. He made a gag about Andrew. So just hours before it was revealed that police widened their probe into the disgraced royal to include potential sexual offences, Payne joked that his friend had got his own bedroom at Buckingham Palace. Tindall replied to hoots of laughter. Opposite end to Andrew, though. Wow. That is edgy. That is edgy for a member of the royal family, Brittany, to even go there.
Well, I mean, you got to think too about Andrew and all the teddy bear situations. Like, you probably want to be as far away from the massive teddy bear collection as you can, because that's a little odd. But yeah, it's a hilarious little jibe. We all know what he's talking about. And it makes sense that he is able to sort of discuss these things in a fun and interesting way and give a little tidbit without going too far. And the reality is sometimes the royals are funny and there's things that you can poke at. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. It shows that he has a sense of humor regarding what has been happening within the family. And sometimes in moments of stress, you need that funny bone to kind of get you through it. So I think that's just a hilarious little tidbit. It's also interesting that Zara and Mike now have some sort of apartment in Buckingham Palace. I think that's quite cool and interesting. So I'd be curious, how the whole layout looks. But I think Mike has just been a tremendous addition to the royal family. He also had the fun bit of him and Zara like switching hats during the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. So he just has a lot of fun. All the members of the royal family, including the Queen, seem to absolutely adore him. And he has proven himself to be somebody who can keep confidences, yet at the same time let these little things go that I think make us feel closer to the royals in that sort of familial way, which, we all want to in a way. So I think he does a great job there of balancing those aspects.
I totally agree, because he then joked of his repeatedly broken nose from rugby. He said, taxpayers' money fixed it. It's got the royal warrant if you look inside it. So it is very good. A little bit of background, by the way, from the Daily Mail. Mike, Zara and Harry were once so close to Prince Harry that he was asked to be godfather to their second daughter, Lena. However, their relationship has cooled since Megxit. In 2022, when the nation celebrated the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, he was overheard referring to Harry with a one-word expletive. Mike had allegedly called him a bellend to a fellow guest at a Buckingham Palace party. That is true. That is true. Mike thinks a lot more than that about Harry, trust me, and was reportedly critical of the way Harry had spoken to a member of staff. 24 hours earlier, Zara had acted as a buffer between Prince Harry and Mike Tindall at an awkward Thanksgiving service for the Queen. Mike appeared to give the Sussexes the cold shoulder on the steps of the church, where Meghan and Harry were also booed by some in the crowd. Tindall looked stone-faced and stayed away from the royal couple as they exited St. Paul's Cathedral. He didn't join them in their conversation with his wife Zara before they left. Peter Phillips also looked awkward as he stood watching. Mike later made pointed remarks about an outstanding secret lunch during the celebrations, which Harry and Meghan didn't attend, claiming it was the best moment of the week. Mr. Tindall said at the time, "It was outstanding, to be fair. It was just great to be part of," adding, "We had a good cousins lunch on the Thursday. That was a highlight." Speaking at Hey, Mike revealed he and his podcast mates are looking to make a documentary of their running of Richmond Rugby Club. It would be in the style of Ryan Reynolds' series about Wrexham or Clarkson's farm. Payne said, "We've got some amazing ideas. Amazon Prime are interested if we can get it going. The Rolling Stones used to practice when they were 16 years old in the Richmond clubhouse, and one of my ambitions is to get Mick Jagger back because he lives in Richmond to do a big gig at Richmond Athletic Ground, raise money and get the club back on the map." Tindall's obviously got good connections. We could have Catherine meeting the team, the Princess of Wales. These are all massive pipe dreams, but I love it. I love it. And the thing is, isn't it so different? That type of discussion about how the royal family connections can be used, Brittany, to make great content, to do great entertainment. It just runs in such contrast to the far more cynical ways that we see Prince Harry and Meghan Markle try and make money like this.
It is, Dan, especially when you look at when Catherine and William and Anne on the Good, the Bad, and the Rugby podcast. That was just such a fun time to get to explore a little bit of their sport competitive side and these sorts of things, because the royals do have to walk this fine line of revealing some personal details about themselves, but let's say not going too far. And I think Catherine and William walked that balance so well. And Mike was a great conduit for that, to bring out this other side of Catherine and William and showing this really competitive edge that they have in that podcast. And so his connections with the royals can be leveraged well. And of course, it has to be done with their agreement and these sorts of things. And he is doing it in a way that kind of benefits everyone rather than just benefiting himself. Because the reality is, for Harry and Meghan, anything they do in regards to the royals is only benefiting themselves. It's not benefiting anybody else, and or benefiting also Netflix or Spotify or what have you. Whereas with the other royals, they do things that kind of benefit everyone. They look at everybody's side. They're not just going to leverage that relationship just purely for monetary reasons like Harry and Meghan do. So I think Mike Tindall does a fantastic job of that. And hopefully we'll see him be able to bring Catherine into the club. That would be just such a fun event because Catherine loves rugby. We can see that play out. And I think that would just be an amazing way to, again, capitalize off that royal connection.
Brittany, on your side of the Atlantic, there is a new blow for Meghan Markle and Prince Harry today as one of their key allies, and I would actually say, Brittany, one of their only allies left in the American mainstream media, People magazine, have actually now really got behind Catherine and said she is the real future of the monarchy. Look at that headline, "Kate's back and the monarchy needs her." This article, and this is by one of their royal reporters, Simon Parry, who is usually having to sort of run with the propaganda about Harry and Meghan, says that they are carrying more weight than ever and that there is no institution without them. Now, this article was written on the back of Catherine's return to the international stage in Italy. But of course, who's not on the cover? Meghan Markle, after that total disaster in Geneva. In fact, I am reliably informed, Brittany, that People magazine did not even send a reporter to Geneva to cover the event, which really is quite something given how they have set themselves up as sort of like the official magazine for the Sussexes. It feels significant, Brittany, the fact they're not there in Geneva. Meghan's not on the cover, yet Catherine is. I do wonder if finally people are starting to regret their decision to side with the wrong couple and realizing that their readers have turned on them.
Well, I don't know, Dan, necessarily if the readers have turned on them, but they definitely know for sure that they want to keep both sides happy to the best of their ability. I don't think People, let's say, has a ton of independent reporting when it comes to the real royals, but they're definitely trying to keep all options open. And Harry and Meghan, Yes, they can pay a decent amount for PR and these sorts of things, but at the end of the day, the real royals sell probably more than they do. And I think that's a reality. And people are excited to have Catherine back because what we saw too as well is an organic support for Catherine. They announced she was going to be there. Wouldn't you know it, the entire town shows up to greet her. And when Meghan Markle announces her trip to Geneva, she can manage to scrounge up about 20 people who care. And so I think that definitely reflects very much how Catherine and Meghan are so different, whereas Meghan's attention is all inorganic, all PR driven, and all driven by people who basically want to see her fail. And I'm not surprised People magazine didn't go out to view this like nobody did. I think Tom Sykes was one of the only independent reporters that actually went out and covered this event. Nobody cared. Nobody thought it was important. And Meghan herself is not a draw, whereas Catherine is definitely a huge, huge draw. So we see this stark comparison. And People magazine knows people are excited to see Catherine. They're excited to see her get better. And they definitely want to capitalize off it because print, let's be honest, is a dying breed. So they're definitely trying to increase their coffers. And they know if they put the real royals on the cover, they'll definitely get there. Harry and Meghan, not so much.
Yeah, I mean, it couldn't have been more stark, could it? In terms of the actual reporting itself within People, I just want to get your reaction to it, Brittany, because Simon Parry quotes Catherine Mayer, the author of the upcoming Divide and Rule, saying Princess Anne and the other senior working royals are all stretched thin and none of them are young. William and Catherine carry the whole thing. Note that People continues to refer to Catherine as Kate Middleton, by the way, so I'm just reading out their words. Kate Middleton and Prince William are ready to step back onto the international stage following the Princess of Wales' widely watched trip to Italy. Royal observers say the tour underscored just how central Kate has become to the royal family's future. Adds Mayer, for the moment, after that period of unprecedented turbulence, they are doing a very good job of making it look like the ship is steady. That is why Kate is so important. Charles is the incumbent, but she and William are the future. Mayer adds there is no institution without them. But what's quite interesting here is that they are also quoting a close family friend of Catherine, telling the magazine that she is an impeccable force for good, a fantastic standard bearer, not just for the royal family, but for the country. Then they also bring in Russell Myers, who is the Daily Mirror's royal editor, saying there's no denying that everyone concerned has been missing the princess's star quality. She is a huge draw wherever she goes. Catherine is undoubtedly a central force in the monarchy's popularity and ability to achieve its goals and move forward. There is no better time for her to return. So I don't know what you took from this, Brittany, but for me, the most interesting thing is the fact that effectively the propaganda style reporting that they usually reserve for Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, in this case, has actually been used for Catherine, and it did interest me.
That is definitely an interesting angle, Dan, but I mean, it's 100% true. Without Catherine and William, there is no monarchy in the future. It doesn't have one. You can't rely on Harry and Meghan. Next down from them is the Yorks, and you can't rely on them either. And so you have this situation where the monarchy is, in some ways, yes, it's getting a bit stronger, but there's still a level of crisis going on here. And really, if Catherine and William can stay the way they are, basically scandal free, I mean, the better off pretty much everybody will be at this point because you have so much going on, so much dragging the monarchy down that the Waleses are really there kind of pulling it up by the bootstraps the best they can, keeping everything afloat. And I do agree that the working royal roster is quite thin. And so I'm looking forward to hopefully George, Charlotte, and Louis joining the working royal fold when they get older, of course. But the more they can add them, the I think the better off will be. William, I think, does have a bit of a different view of how the future will look. But we definitely do see a monarchy where everything is resting on the shoulder of the Waleses. And I think Catherine is a huge, huge portion of that because she is so influential. She is so popular. And women, because a lot of royal watchers are women, we gravitate towards women. And so I think people just absolutely love and adore Catherine. And especially with her cancer diagnosis and battle, being so young, I think endears her even more to the public.
Brittany, the other thing that's been quite interesting over the past few days and a lot of it, I think, has been missed. Maybe the significance of it has been missed, is this quiet announcement from Prince William that Richard Eden in the Daily Mail is quoting royal insiders tell me that it spells disaster for Harry and Meghan's future. Now, here was the announcement from William. It's something he's very passionate about. 3 years ago, we set out to take a different approach, to think more carefully about how the duchy could use its land to create opportunity and support people over the long term, including launching a project here in Cornwall to help tackle homelessness with the right support around it. It's fantastic to come back and to see the beginning to take shape and to meet some of the people now calling it home. There's still more to do, but it's encouraging to see what's already possible when you bring together the right people, ideas, and ambition. Now, Richard Eden's take on this is no one will have read William's announcement this week more closely than Harry, who was always envious of his brother's position as heir to the Duchy of Cornwall and future king. Prince Harry and Meghan quit official duties to seek out a fortune across the Atlantic before attacking the royal family at every opportunity. Despite this, King Charles has declined to take any action against his son and daughter-in-law. He has allowed Harry to retain his position fifth in line of succession. He has also permitted the pair to keep their Duke and Duchess of Sussex titles, even though they regularly use them in their commercial activities, in apparent defiance of the agreement made with the late Queen Elizabeth at the Sandringham Summit in 2020. Even more generously, the King has allowed Harry to remain a Councillor of State, meaning that he could, in theory, at least stand in for the monarch if Charles was unable to carry out his duties because of illness. William will take a much harder line with Harry and Meghan when he's king, predicts one of William's friends, who declines to spell out exactly what that will mean for the California-based couple. What we can deduce from this week's radical announcement about the Duchy of Cornwall, as well as his intense display of emotion at the Aston Villa game in Istanbul, is that William will be different, and that whatever action he takes against the Sussexes, it will be dramatic. Do you agree with Richard Eden's reading of this, Brittany, that actually the action that William is taking at the moment, while it might not be the real sexy stuff that everyone likes to talk about, shows that he has a steel, and at some point that steel is going to be unleashed against Harry and Meghan?
Well, Dan, definitely what we've seen from William is somebody who is willing to look at the playbook and go, okay, I like this, I don't like this, let's change it, let's adjust, let's find a good team, these sorts of things. William is definitely a mover and a shaker and a man who is a force for change. And I think the biggest change coming down the pike will be, in terms of the future of the monarchy, is how he deals with Harry and Meghan. How he deals with them will impact what the future of the monarchy looks like. And I think it's a critical part of what William's role will be in his initial days and year as king, is how he addresses the rogue royal issue, because this is a real issue dragging down the monarchy. And as Harry and Meghan get more and more desperate for money over time to fund their lifestyle, which was way out of their price range in the first place, the more they'll be willing to trade off the royals, the more they will be potentially caught in controversy, going down the path and getting in a relationship with somebody maybe similar to Epstein, something to that effect. And so William, I think, is looking at the future of the monarchy and going, how do we make it the most beneficial to the people? And how do we secure the monarchy for the future? And I think to secure the monarchy, you have to get rid of those dragging the monarchy down. And that is Harry, Meghan, Andrew. Of course, you can maybe add Beatrice and Eugenie on that list as well. And so I think we will see great change with William, just like we've seen him enact with the Duchy of Cornwall. We'll see additional changes once he becomes king. And I look forward to seeing it. And of course, we are all waiting for Harry and Meghan to be stripped of their titles. Everybody sort of wants that. I don't think anybody's going to be there fighting for them to keep their titles and places in the line of succession. And I think if William can make that change, I think he'll set the monarchy on firmer footing.
Royal observers argue that frustration toward Harry is no longer limited to anonymous insiders or newspaper sources. Increasingly, figures connected to the royal family appear willing to express disappointment more openly, not necessarily through direct attacks, but through comments, jokes, observations, and subtle criticism. And according to many commentators, that shift matters, because it suggests the divide may now extend far beyond the palace itself. It may be spreading throughout the wider royal network. But what makes this story particularly significant isn't what was allegedly said. It's who allegedly said it. For years, many royal supporters believed reconciliation remained possible. That eventually Harry would reconnect with his brother, repair relationships, and rebuild trust. But as more voices within royal circles appear to express frustration, that hope becomes harder to maintain. Because criticism coming from outside commentators is one thing. Criticism coming from people connected to the family feels very different. It creates the impression that the divide has become personal, deeply personal, and potentially long-lasting. The bigger issue here isn't one comment. It's the changing perception of Prince Harry himself. For much of his life, Harry enjoyed enormous public goodwill. Even during difficult periods, many people viewed him sympathetically. Today, however, public opinion appears far more divided. Supporters continue to admire his willingness to challenge the institution and speak openly. Critics argue he has spent years attacking the very family that helped shape his public identity. And that division continues influencing every headline surrounding him. Meanwhile, Meghan Markle remains central to the discussion. Because for critics, Harry's transformation cannot be separated from his relationship with Meghan. They argue she played a major role in reshaping his priorities and public direction. Supporters reject that interpretation entirely. They argue Harry made his own choices and deserves responsibility for them. Regardless of where people stand, one reality remains clear. The Harry-Meghan story continues to generate intense debate years after their departure from royal duties. And every new controversy only reinforces the perception of ongoing family conflict. And the real question now is, has Harry become isolated from the royal circle he once called home? Or are reports of permanent division being exaggerated? At its core, this controversy isn't really about one criticism. It's about relationships, trust, loyalty, and the consequences of choices that continue reshaping the royal family years later. Because while public headlines come and go, family divisions have a way of lasting much longer. If you want more deep dives into the real stories, hidden tensions, and behind-the-scenes dynamics surrounding the royal family, make sure you subscribe and stay tuned. Because what's happening behind palace walls is often far more complicated than it appears.